Derbyites, we are back for 2019. It is one of the high holy days of the awards season. It's the first really big awards ceremony of the year, and we're so excited to be bringing you this pre-show live on the best website on the internet called Derby. I'm here with Denton Davidson. Susan, I'm just going to screw up your surname, so I'll let you say it.
Wloszczyna.
Beautiful. No one can say mine either. And Zach Laws. And I'm Rob Licuria, and we will be talking about some of the more exciting categories at the Golden Globes, which starts in just 2 hours. Let's get right into it, guys, because I think there's lots to talk about. And I want to go to the most important category, to my mind, which is best film, best drama film. A lot of us are predicting A Star Is Born, but I know, Denton, you are not. So let's go to you first. Why? What are you predicting and why?
I'm not predicting A Star Is Born. I'm going out on a limb for BlacKkKlansman. And the reason being is that, you know, BlacKkKlansman has been overperforming at a lot of these award shows in the nominations. And I guess I'm a little surprised that there is not a single expert that doesn't not have A Star Is Born winning. So you would think it is this unstoppable force. And I'm not convinced that it is at this point. I think BlacKkKlansman got in everywhere it needed to get in. And it's got the same amount of nominations outside of Best Song, which really doesn't matter here. And I think it's the edgier film that kind of makes a statement and it feels important. And I think that we could see an upset for Best Picture. So that's why I'm going out on a limb. No guts nor glory. You can't, I mean, like you said, you can't win this without picking a few upsets, and I want the #1 next to my name. So that's why I'm going for it.
Well, you know what? Like, the Globes do always throw us with you know, curveballs. They do it every year, and in fact, that's what I most look forward to. And if any film's going to upset in that category, I think you're right. It's probably that one. It really has overperformed over the last few weeks. Like, it's just done quite well. Zach, I know that you're a fan of the film, and you might be predicting the film in other categories, right? Where are you headed with best film in best drama film?
Well, let me first preface this by saying that BlacKkKlansman is my current Oscar prediction for Best Picture. And I think that Spike Lee is going to win here tonight for Best Director. I think the Globes might not want to pass up an opportunity to make some history here. No Black filmmakers ever won a prize for directing at either the Globes or the Oscars. And so they could start the ball rolling on that narrative. As far as Best Film goes, the reason I'm kind of going with the herd here on A Star Is Born is simple mathematics for me. I think that they want to get Bradley Cooper on stage at least one time tonight. And I don't have him winning Best Director. I don't have him winning Best Actor. So that seems like the most logical place for me to give him a prize. And also, I mean, not for nothing, it's a big, popular, beloved movie. It's romantic. It's about show business. It's all these things that they really love. So I think, why overthink it? Now, would I be happy to see BlacKkKlansman win here? Absolutely. I'll be a lot happier seeing it win Best Picture at the Oscars.
And Susan, I think you're probably kind of following the pack more like I am, playing it safe. Do you think A Star Is Born is really more of a no-brainer here?
Yeah. Well, they like Let's See Stars, and they do like Bradley. And I think, like you said, Zach, that this is the one he's most likely to win. It's the big one, too, for whatever they put a musical into a drama category. But I think they did that very wisely because there's a rather strong contingent of comedy musicals. So I think, you know, it is the one I would think that they would be the one prize that this movie's gonna get besides maybe Lady Gaga in the song.
Yeah, it's to me, I just think like you know, you think back to 1976 when the previous version of this film swept and won all 5 of its nominations, and it's certainly possible that this film could do the same thing. It's nominated 5 times again. it seems to me quite uncanny, actually. It'll be a great story. I can imagine it'll be plastered all over Gold Derby and other similar websites if it does actually pull that off. But it just seems to be a film that's most certainly in the Hollywood Foreign Press's wheelhouse. And that's why I'm not game enough at all. I have zero spine with this one. And I'm just going to follow along with the pack and think that it will probably prevail. That being said, though, I think the comedy musical side is much more competitive in terms of a whole bunch of films that could potentially pull this win off. And by the way, I think A Star is Born, I don't even know what it's doing in drama, but that's a whole other story. I mean, it's a dramatic film, but it is a musical as well, so that's insane. I don't get that, but let's put that aside. Comedy or musical, there's some really good nominees there, and I would say maybe all 5 of them could even win. The Favourite, Green Book, Vice, Mary Poppins Returns, and Crazy Rich Asians. I currently am going with The Favourite. I only just saw it last night, thought it was hilarious. Very odd film, really left field, but I think it's going to do very well this award season, and this will be the beginning, I guess, of its major kind of push towards the Oscars. Susan, what do you think? Where are you headed with the comedy or musical film category?
I'm going with Green Book because the fact that they have Peter Farrelly as one of the nominated directors sort of, I think, means they take it seriously for that. And I think its closest competitor is Vice. And that was as I see the ads on TV all the time telling me that it's got the most Golden Globes nominated film or whatever with 6. So, but I think Vice will win for Christian Bale. I think that he's the best thing in it. And I think it's his time to win a lead trophy. And they will do that for him.
Zach, do you agree? Do you think this is Green Book's to win?
I do. I mean, if Yorgos Lanthimos had been nominated for director, I would be more inclined to predict The Favourite. But because he wasn't, and because they nominated Peter Farrelly instead, I think that, like Susan said, it shows that they take this movie seriously. Green Book probably performed better than any other movie, even though Vice beat it by 1 nomination. But you think about Green Book, I mean, it pretty much got into every category that it was in competition for. So that shows a vast amount of love. Vice is an interesting thing. It got all of these nominations before the reviews came out, which, range from best movie of the year to worst movie of the year. So are they going to, put their best of the year stamp on that? Or are they just going to go with Christian? I think they're just going to go with Christian. The Favourite, though, wouldn't surprise me to win for film because I am predicting it to pick up some hardware tonight, including some surprising hardware. Yeah, I mean, that director snub really keeps me from predicting it to win the big prize here.
Yeah, so it is a good point, and that's kind of putting me in this difficult position because I know that's actually a very important stat. Denton, where are you headed with this category? Because it's kind of doing my head in a bit.
I am following the herd on this one, and I'm also going with Green Book, although I definitely don't think it's completely safe. It is interesting that Vice has the most nominations, yet very few people actually predict it to prevail here. So I think that's sort of interesting. And I do think The Favourite has a good shot too, but like the others, not being in the director nomination is kind of a downer for that one. So I just don't see it happening. But I'm kind of with Susan here. I think it's between Green Book and Vice, and I think Green Book will come out on top.
See, I've got 2 issues with those 2 films. Firstly, I have a feeling that it's possible that Vice might even go home empty-handed. Some of the reviews for that film have been really, really terrible. And it is a divisive film, as is Green Book. I loved Green Book, but I know that there's a lot of controversy about that. I think the controversy is a little bit out of hand and probably unnecessary, but it's there. And I wonder if that's going to hurt that film as well. Whereas with The Favourite, it just seems to be very popular and quite loved. And yet Yorgos Lanthimos wasn't nominated for director. So there's a lot going on the comedy musical side, as usual. It's always the area at the Globes where things kind of get mixed up a bit. So it's very exciting. I'd like to move over to TV now if we could, because that's kind of, where my heart lies. It's always with the TV stuff. And I am so excited about Best Drama Series. It is like, what a great group of nominees that is. And any of those could win, really. Like Homecoming, Bodyguard, Pose, The Americans, Killing Eve. Great choices, as usual. The Globes always are really killing it when it comes to TV. And I'm really interested to know where you guys are sitting on this category. I'll go to you first then. What are you predicting at the moment?
I'm going with Homecoming. I think it's a great new series on Amazon, and they love the big stars. So Julia Roberts heading that up, I think, plays a factor in that. I am a little nervous about Killing Eve, just because Sandra Oh is hosting. So I don't know if that gets them any brownie points for having the star of their show as host of the awards show. So it's a little conflict of interest for me. But at this point, I see Homecoming taking the trophy tonight.
And before I go to the other two, the fact that you're picking Homecoming, it makes me realize, I think we might have actually had an article about this at the Gold Derby a couple of weeks ago, but it's possible that Amazon Prime Video could win all three major categories on the TV side. It could win drama, it could win comedy for Mrs. Maisel, and it could also win in the limited series movie category as well. So that's, do you think that's actually a possibility before I move on to Zach and Susan?
I do think it's a possibility. I wonder sometimes if Mrs. Maisel is not the fresh new thing anymore that it was before. So I'm not totally convinced that that's going to win. Right now I have the Kaminsky Method taking comedy series, but it's absolutely a possibility. And it could go either way in that category.
Yeah. Susan, where are you headed at the moment in drama series?
Well, I have to plead ignorance, save for the Americans. But now I will say, for some reason, I beat out the other experts in predicting Emmy. So I'm not, maybe I'm just a savant of some sort, but I'm going with that because I think I rather it was Sandra Oh than Julia Roberts for some reason. So, and that has, okay, it's a horrible reason. But for comedy series, I have seen the Kaminsky Method, and I do love Mrs. Maisel, but I agree they like the new shiny things. So I think, and also I think Michael Douglas will go hand in hand with the win for show for comedy.
I love it how you're so you're so modest about your TV knowledge when you actually killed it at the Emmys, and we are all extremely jealous. So
I filled it out the first day I started Gold Derby, and I didn't change it. And I just forgot about it, and I'm like, oh my god!
Just don't overthink it, right? And I'll just quickly point out that I came second, but whatever. All right, so Zach. What's happening in drama? Because neither of Denton and Susan, they're not helping me. I'm still confused.
Why don't you ask me to just throw my hands in the air and just whatever lands? Yeah. I'm going with Killing Eve. I think that it has the highest profile probably of the five, except for, I guess, the Americans, in the sense that, it did perform well at the Emmys in its first season, getting that actress nomination, getting that writing nomination. I think it was on the cusp of getting a series nomination there. So that perhaps helps it. And also the fact that Sandra Oh is hosting boosts its profile a bit. But I don't know. I could honestly see any of these five shows winning, I could see Pose winning. I could see Bodyguard winning. The thing is that with the Globes in either series category, you want to pick an actor, a corresponding actor, to go along with that series win, and they've all got corresponding acting nominations.
Helpful.
So and there's new shows here too that we don't know how they're going to perform. But I'm gonna stick with Killing Eve. As far as comedy, I am going to go with the Kaminsky method as well. Although I could just as easily see Maisel winning again. I think Rachel Brosnahan's going to repeat in actress, and they could just go with it off of name recognition alone. One show that I am rooting for to win is The Good Place, which got in for Kristen Bell as well, and it would be nice if maybe that could prevail. I think that if Brosnahan has any competition, it's Kristen Bell.
Yeah. Both drama series and comedy series, all 10 of those nominated series have corresponding actors nominated. So that's completely unhelpful. Thanks very much, HFPA. I've seen articles where people have said Pose could win. I've seen articles where people have said The Americans could pull off a win after its very impressive performance at the Emmys a few months ago. I was just talking to our good mate Paul Sheehan before we started, and he even said to me, what do you think about Bodyguard? And we both agreed it could win. Homecoming, as Denton says, very, very popular series. That's a Sam Esmail show. The Mr. Robot has won before. That's certainly with a chance. And what's actually quite telling about Homecoming is that Stephen James was nominated, and he is not a very well-known actor. He's not a big star yet. His role is a good one in the show, but it's not like a pivotal role like Julia Roberts' role is, and he was nominated. So these categories are just killing me. Typically, I probably need to get out more because they're keeping me up at night. But I've got Killing Eve in there, and I've got Maisel in there. I haven't seen season 2 yet of Maisel. I'm a little behind, but I keep hearing how wonderful it is, and it just seems to be so much in the wheelhouse of these members who are a slightly older generation of people who are in showbiz and probably really appreciate what that show is all about. So where does that land us? We're not very helpful to all the people watching. I'm really sorry about that. Let's move on to something else that I always find more exciting, and it's just I'm just going to throw it out to you guys. I'll ask each of you individually to just talk to me about a particular category that you are most interested in tonight, what you're really looking forward to seeing, something that you're excited about, or a particular prediction that you want to kind of telegraph to the world in case it actually comes true. So I'll go to you first, Susan. What do you think? What's a particular category or topic that you'd like to talk about?
I am very interested in having a very English scandal win, because that was one of the delights of the year for me, movie or TV shows. And also Hugh Grant, he never gets, has he ever won any awards? I don't think so.
He's got a Golden Globe.
What?
I think he has a Golden Globe for 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Oh my God.
That was a long time ago.
That was, wow. He needs another one. It's been so long we forgot about it.
Yeah.
He's so good at being cads, and that he discovered that from doing About a Boy and Bridget Jones's Diary and all that, and he's really just the best when he's a bad guy. So I hope they both win. But apparently the assassination of Versace is more. I don't know. It looks like that could be the one.
Well, it seems to be like most of the it seems most of the heat is on assassination of Gianni Versace, and I without commenting necessarily on the merit of that show, I don't really know why that is the front runner. I think this is in a very, very, very difficult category as well. Perhaps maybe apart from The Alienist, which is also quite deserving, and it has Daniel Bruhl as a nominee. But I think Sharp Objects, A Very English Scandal, and Escape at Dannemora are all absolutely in the running in that category too. So everyone seems to be predicting that.
Didn't like Sharp Objects very much. So
that was quite divisive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I watched maybe 2.5 episodes and said, I'm not in the mood for this. So, it's not like it was badly done. It just was not my cup of tea. So.
Yeah. Denton, what are you most excited about for in about an hour's time?
Well, I'm definitely still most excited to see if BlacKkKlansman can pull out an upset for me. And then I think the supporting actress is an interesting race between, I'm picking Amy Adams, who's not the front runner at this point. And she is kind of another dark horse that I'm picking. And I won the film side last year. By the way, before everyone laughs at my predictions that's viewing, I just want to say these things can happen. and if I win again, I'm going to come back here. So I'm not completely crazy for these predictions, even though I'm sort of bucking the trend on a lot here. But I think that supporting actress race is a nail biter. So I'm looking for Amy Adams to pull out the win there. And I'd also keep an eye out for Jim Carrey in Kidding. I mean, how many Golden Globes does Jim Carrey have at this point? So I don't think people should completely write him off either.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize how well you had done on the film side in the last predictions. That's very cool to know. So we all should be paying a bit more attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, not to toot my own horn, but it's completely not beneath
you need. I think that's what we're here for. We should be tooting our own horn until the cows come home. Absolutely.
We still have time to change our Globe prediction to Black Klansman.
Mate, if Black Klansman wins, I think we need to get you back on here just so you can just say, I told you all, you're all losers.
And if it doesn't, I'll go down on a blaze of glory. And I'll be
who cares? Like, what do you got to lose, right?
Yeah.
Zach, what are you most excited about?
Well, I would, like I said before, I would really be personally excited to see Spike Lee win for Best Director. Not just for the historical significance of it, but also I think that, it is the best of the nominees. And I think that it would really mean something for him to win Best Director in this banner year for Black filmmakers. And, given the world that we live in today, having such a vitally important voice come back and make a really powerful film about it, I think would be really meaningful. I'm really excited just to see, last year we saw the tide turn in the acting races for the most part with the Golden Globes. A lot of people who were predicting victories for Willem Dafoe and Laurie Metcalf suddenly had to start predicting Sam Rockwell and Allison Janney, just to name two examples. So I'm really interested to see who's going to prevail in these acting categories. Like Denton, I am not predicting the frontrunner in supporting actress, but I'm not predicting who he's predicting. I'm predicting Rachel Weisz for The Favorite. I think that, I'd been thinking about this for a while, and then I saw that Tom O'Neill was doing it, so I decided to copy him. But I think that it would be, she's one of those people who, as the years have gone by, people have grown to like a lot more and respect a lot more as an actress now that she's doing more serious roles than just being chased by the mummy with Brendan Fraser. And I think that they would like to give her a second award, and it's a movie they like. So that's what I'm excited to see. I just want to see how these acting races are going to shape up and if Spike Lee can win for director.
Yeah, that the best supporting actress category is a killer because most people seem to be predicting Regina King, although her campaign, so to speak, really hit a stumbling block with that SAG snub. And then we have Amy Adams as well. And those two actresses are vying it out in another category as well. So it's going to be an Amy versus Regina night. And I wonder if either of them can pull off a win or two, or whether they'll both go home empty-handed. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with those two. I love both of them very, very much. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Regina a few times, and she's really, really great. And Amy Adams is one of my favorite actresses at the moment. So I'd love to see her up on stage.
Regina's working for it too. She's really, she's going for it. She hit that SAG stumbling block, but she is not letting that stop her at all. And I would love to see her win tonight. She's wonderful in Beale Street. That would be a great win for the movie. But I'm not quite sure. It only did get those 3 nominations. It couldn't get in for director. It couldn't get in for score. And so, that kind of, it worries me that movie might be slipping a little bit. Now, certainly if she wins tonight, that'll help bring it back around, at least for her. But, I would rather not predict her and get my heart broken than, than have her win and surprise me.
But sticking with you, Zach, what interests me about Rachel Weisz is the dreaded vote-splitting argument, given that Emma Stone is also a nominee. Does that factor at all into your judgment of how this category is going to land?
Oh, absolutely. I know that that's part of it. I think that the leg up that Rachel Weisz has over Emma Stone is that it's been 13 years since the last time she won, whereas Emma Stone won 2 years ago. So there's no need to give her a second so quickly. So I think that, you know, enough time has passed that people might have even forgotten that Rachel already has one, and might want to, you know, give it to her for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really interesting that we're all kind of in different mindsets about this particular category. Before we move over to the next category, and then before I say goodbye to the three of you, I just might invite Charlie, Amanda, and Riley to join us when they're ready. Come in, and then we will bid adieu to the people who are with us now. While we're waiting, though, I'm very interested also to talk about supporting actor. I don't think that is even close to being a done deal at this point. Mahershala Ali is out in front, it appears, although you could make really good arguments for Adam Driver, Timothy Chalamet, Richard E. Grant, and even Sam Rockwell, who has a smaller role in Vice. Denton, where are you at the moment on Best Supporting Actor, and are you feeling confident?
I'm actually going with Richard E. Grant right now. I think Mahershala is a bit of a favorite, but I think Richard E. Grant is one of those sort of less famous stars that could really sort of make his mark here. I actually think he might run the gamut and go all the way through to the Oscars. I mean, I think he's got that scene-stealing performance where it's when you walk away remembering. So I'm going with Richard E. Grant, and I predict him to sort of have a clean sweep through the Oscars.
Susan, are you in the same mindset?
I'm right in sync with that. I thought, well, for that movie, Melissa McCarthy is not going to win. I think they're all strong performances in that category. It's just Lady Gaga's too much to handle, I think. But I think, or she's in drama too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
But Richie E. Grant made it a comedy, which was what really worked. I just think he's so underappreciated, and I think the Globes, you know, they are supposedly foreign people, so I think they would want to, you know, celebrate him with this one, because I do think he gave a really good performance.
And do you agree, Zach?
I think Richard E. Grant is going to win the Oscar, but I'm going with Mahershala for the Golden Globe, just because I'm predicting Green Book to win Best Picture, and I think that it needs to win something else, and I'm not predicting either Vigo or Screenplay or Director. And also, you know, he is due from the last time that he was nominated for Moonlight, and they gave it to Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere.
I remember thinking to myself, wow, they really did mispronounce Mahershala Ali's name.
But he was really good in that movie, by the way.
He was, yes, he was.
But he made history as like the first person in 40 years not to be nominated for an Oscar after winning the Globe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He can
probably made history also as the first person sitting on a toilet to win a Golden Globe.
True that. Always a plus. I think that's probably what pushed him over the edge. Look, you know, I think I've actually got Richard E. Grant as well. I'm really glad that 2 out of 3 agree with me, although it's a close one. Again, this category is very interesting. And just looking at the chat room on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of people who are all agreeing that Richard E. Grant is absolutely the guy who's going to win this one. So there you go. That one's very interesting. Unfortunately, now I have the very, very sad news that Denton, Susan, and Zach are leaving us. It's been great having you on, guys. Enjoy Golden Globes night.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. So while we wait for Riley, Amanda and Charlie, it's so lovely to see you both.
Who are you?
yeah, what did you do to Matt?
Yeah, well, I was saying earlier that Matt is traveling at the moment, and so they had to find another random Australian to host this, and here I am. So, yeah, I thought I would absolutely.
You're our silver medal.
I am your silver medal. I think, you know, a silver fox, silver medal, silver all around. So yeah, it's really great to see you both. We'll just hang around for Riley for a bit, but while we wait, let's talk about the most exciting category of the night. It's a very subjective thing, but let's talk about the big ones. Best drama film. Most people are predicting A Star Is Born. it could repeat what the 1976 version did and sweep all 5 of its categories that it's nominated in. Some people, though, are saying that it could be a surprise. Denton, for example, thinks that it could be Black Klansman. Amanda, where are you at the moment on this category?
Well, I would remind you that the more Globes you win, kind of the worse your Oscars can get. So, you know, once you get to 3, going, you know what, we're good, thanks, is okay. I'm going with A Star is Born, but I don't agree with Denton that it's Black Klansman they need to look out for. I would look out for Black Panther, because I think the one thing you have to remember is the Globes want attention. And what would give them more attention than Ryan Coogler charging the stage and screaming Wakanda forever, thrusting a globe in the air? So I would look out for that. And then if they're going to give Lady Gaga Best Actress, there's a chance she might not take song, because it's like, are we really going to have her up there twice? Because she doesn't give the greatest acceptance speech. I'm just saying.
But they do really love her. I mean, she won.
They love her, but I'm just saying they might, you know, go, you know what? Let's get Kendrick Lamar up there or Dolly Parton.
Yeah. I mean, the song category is so cool. We'll talk about that later, because I think it deserves a bit of a discussion. Charlie, where are you headed at the moment on Best Drama Film?
I think it's pretty safe for A Star is Born, but I'm actually in agreement with Amanda that if there's any other film if there's a film that might pull off the upset, I think it's Black Panther. I just switched that to my number 2. I had Black Klansman at number 2. I just switched it. I would love it if Black Klansman won, and I think Black Klansman would also be a great a statement win as well. But Black Panther would be the one that would definitely get more attention, and I would definitely keep an eye out for that. And Black Panther seems like that kind of movie that could, like Moonlight 2 years ago, win or even 12 Years a Slave a couple of years ago, win just the one Best Picture award and then nothing else throughout the evening, which would be weird, because in the last, I guess that would make it the last 5 years that it's only happened with films by Black filmmakers. So at least on the drama side, Well,
I think Black Panther is going to win score. I think they're still going to want to have Black Panther in the headline as far as films that have won. Black Panther, Roma, A Star is Born. And, you know, technically, even if it just wins score, they can still say it won a Golden Globe. So I think they're going to throw it something.
Yeah. Who do I have for score? I have
Mary Poppins or
I do have Mary Poppins Returns.
I just feel like it's been there, done that.
Well, I definitely think that I know there is a lot of love for the score for First Man, even though that love didn't really materialize elsewhere. But the score, there's a lot of love for. And the Globes do like Alexander Desplat, and I would keep my eye out for Isle of Dogs and that. I think or maybe it won't win, but it could siphon off votes, and then and it's so hard to predict, because again, we're just going with 90 some odd members of these 90 some odd foreign journalists. It's not thousands of people. We're just trying to get into the minds of these specific groups of people, and I definitely think that. Let me see.
But in a press release, they can at least put Black Panther in their headlines of winners. So
exactly.
That's my thought process for that.
Well,
wouldn't it be weird if the Black Panther is being celebrated as such a champion, this monument of diversity in filmmaking, but the one person who wins for it is a white guy?
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Well, I mean, we can't always control that.
I'm not saying it's necessarily bad or anything. I'm just saying I think that's just weird.
I think that would be a headline. It absolutely would be a headline. It would be someone will be talking about it for sure. Ludwig Göransson's score for that film is so wonderful. I really, really wanted to win. I'm predicting it will win. It's kind of like the apple and the kind of oranges, the usual stuff that we always talk about. But going back to Best Picture, do you think, Charlie, that if the Globes went with Black Panther and then throughout the rest of award season, the film kind of just didn't really do a lot because it's still seen as a Marvel or whatever. What is it, Marvel? I have no idea. But it's one of these big kind of blockbusters that the Globes would be made fun of for going with a big commercial production like Avatar.
Not in this instance, because I think that Black Panther probably has more solid ground to stand on in terms of the reception, and also in terms of we've had a lot of time to process it, and the feelings towards it are still very overwhelmingly positive. Unlike Avatar, which that win happened very quickly after it came out in, I guess, what was it, earlier mid-December. And as time has gone on, there's been more of a sharper divide on that. I don't think that would be the case with Black Panther. And in a year where, given everything that all the issues that have come up with the Academy and their choices in what they've been wanting to do with the ceremony, I think this would be a great statement to say, hey, we did our things. We've done our thing the way we've always done it, and we managed to award. This year we award this very popular movie. 2 years ago, we awarded Moonlight, which was, this very small movie. We are the champions of the art of cinema. Yeah.
Hi, Riley. Great to have you join us. I'll come to you in a sec. Amanda, do you think that, just following on from my question to Charlie, if Black Panther was to win, would it give the Globes a bit more credibility, or would it be the opposite?
I think it would give them credibility, because I think that the Globes do one of two things on the film side. They either try to influence the Oscars, or they play it safe and try to predict the Oscars. And if they want to have influence, what would be a better choice than to lay down the gauntlet and go, look what we did. We went bold. We gave it to the more, I wouldn't say risky, but riskier choice. And I think it has a really good chance of winning SAG Ensemble. So I don't think it's just going to be one of those one-off things. I really do believe, I still think there's a chance Ryan Coogler could make the 5 for director. Remember, Denis Villeneuve did not make the Golden Globe lineup for Arrival. So it's still a possibility. And I think it's going to have a decent Oscar nomination haul.
Yeah.
Because I don't see anyone ranking it below 4th.
Yeah.
As far as their top 8, top 9,
and so forth. What I love about Black Panther is that it has been out for a long time, as Charlie's noted earlier. It's a stayer. It's still in the conversation. It's beloved. For me, a great film. One of the hallmarks of a great film is rewatchability. I think I've seen Black Panther 4 or 5 times and still enjoy it. And I think a lot of voters would be thinking along those lines. They just really enjoy the film, and it's the first major kind of superhero blockbuster that actually has a shot at winning some major hardware, and that's so exciting for us.
And what helps it with that is it's not a sequel. The Dark Knight was a sequel.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars, this is the first one.
Yeah.
So that definitely helps it, because the Academy doesn't like sequels unless you're Lord of the Rings or The Godfather. So that it's in a good position because it's the first film and they're coming out of the gate strong.
Yeah. So, Riley, we're talking about Best Drama. Most people are predicting A Star is Born to do very well tonight. I know Denton, from our previous discussion, thinks Black Klansman could be the spoiler, although Charlie and Amanda both agree that Black Panther is one film that we should really be looking at as the spoiler. What do you think about this category?
Yeah, I've got A Star is Born. I have Black Panther in second because, like Amanda said, if they're going to go that way, it'll be to make a statement. I think Black Klansman should have gotten a screenplay nomination given how original it is.
Yeah. So let's move over to actually the other Best Picture category that I think is even more competitive than this one, and that's comedy or musical. I honestly believe that all 5 of these films have the chance of possibly winning this one. And I know that there are...
Of course they do. They're nominated.
Well, but most of these categories, there's going to be a couple of contenders who have 0 chance. This one, I don't think is that at all, although they all have detractors. So The Favourite, Green Book, Vice, Mary Poppins Returns, and Crazy Rich Asians. Obviously, we look at the director category, we look at the screenplay category, and we look at the acting categories to kind of determine which films here are in the running. I think that The Favourite is going to surprise here, and I think it's going to surprise because on the strength of its screenplay and on the strength of Olivia Colman probably winning a very competitive actress category. I'm very curious, though, to know what you guys think, because the previous lot didn't really think much of my arguments. So I'm going to you first, Charles. What do you think?
Oh God! Don't ask me.
That's the whole point of this video.
I'm double checking right now because I can never remember, because this race is so tight. I have Green Book winning right now. I think it's probably going to be the one that I think in this with this category, because each one does have actual legitimate shots at winning, despite my smartass remark earlier. I think that I try to look at which one will have the least strikes against it in terms of the voting members of the HFPA, and I think that Green Book, I think, probably fits that best. And I think Viggo's going to win the actor prize, so I think that would be a good pairing.
What about you, Amanda?
And remember, it also got into both picture, director, and screenplay.
Yeah,
and especially that directing nomination for Peter Farrelly. That was big for them.
I mean, that's what really hurts The Favourite, because Yorgos Lanthimos did not make it into that category. That's a big factor that's kind of keeping me up at night. Amanda, what do you think?
You would think that.
I'm going with The Favourite. I think it's
really?
It's the obvious choice. It's right in their wheelhouse of what they love to award. It's English. It's a period piece. It's actually funny. It's about a queen we haven't seen 15 million productions about. So yeah. I think Olivia Colman is going to win. And, I agree. I think Rachel Weisz could upset. But, I just think I don't think Vice can win. I would love for like a Crazy Rich Asians upset, but I know that's probably not going to happen. Although I would love that. And I just feel like Green Book is like driving Miss Daisy with two dudes. Like, to me, it just didn't work for me personally.
Yeah.
I didn't connect emotionally with it. So
that's really interesting. I just absolutely adore Green Book. But there's a lot of controversy about that one, which I think is mostly unfounded, but that's just from my subjective point of view. Riley, what about you?
There is some, just to address it, there is some controversy about that regarding how it portrays things, but to me, I think the bigger not controversy, but issue should be, if you want to make a statement about something, especially about the times that we live in now, you should be going with BlacKkKlansman, because that is in your face about it. It's angry about it, and it really is making an emphatic statement, rather than Green Book, which is just like, oh, if we all get to know each other, everything will be fine.
True,
and I feel like that I'm so sorry. I feel like with BlacKkKlansman, if it wasn't based on a true story, no one would believe this. Whereas like Green Book's based on a true story, but that could have been an original story and nobody would have cared. But nobody would have really thought anything of it if somebody just made up these two guys hanging out in a car.
Yeah. Riley, what do you think about comedy or musical?
Yeah, this one I'm not really too concerned about. I'm going with Green Book because it does seem like kind of a throwback movie, and it got director and screenplay, whereas The Favorite is much more showy and it couldn't get director. And it's also kind of an odd movie, whereas Green Book is more of a crowd pleaser, so I think it'll be more digestible.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you guys are just completely no help to me. Thanks a lot for that.
But Charlie, what about convince me on Viggo Mortensen? Because just kind of taking an outside look at it, I see Christian Bale as, giving a much more showy performance that more obviously is in the Globe's wheelhouse, let's say.
I think. Wait, you guys aren't going with Lin-Manuel Miranda?
No.
Sorry.
So I just think that when it comes to that, I'm looking at the nominees, and the Globe sometimes seem to have a better sense of their own history in terms of who has won, who hasn't won. Oh, do we need to make up for something? And I think that they've given Bale a win that led him to an Oscar. Viggo Mortensen is someone who has been around. He's been nominated a couple times for different things like Eastern Promises and Captain Fantastic. And I think that that's just what they're going to end up going for. And because I think it's winning picture, I think it would probably pair that with an acting win, very much like they do on the television side a lot. So that's just my thinking.
I think Viggo
I'm perfectly prepared to be wrong about that.
He does change quite a lot for the role. Isn't he Norwegian? And he does that Tony Soprano accent really beautifully, and he put on a lot of weight. It is slightly a transformative role, not as much as Christian Bale.
You can make the same argument for Christian Bale, and
sure.
I understand.
But we're used to seeing Christian Bale being transformative as well. Viggo is not someone who we're as used to being transformative.
Agreed.
And I understand your argument, Charlie, but I just don't think he's overdue. Like, nobody thought he was going to win for Eastern Promises. No one thought Mr. Fantastic was going to win.
Yeah, but he's been around, and he's been putting in, the work for years. So yeah. I don't think overdue. I think it's because we have different versions of being overdue. Overdue is, from the way you're phrasing it, sounds like someone who should have won by now but hasn't. I just mean someone who's been working for years and has gotten a little bit of recognition, but not showered.
And he's definitely fits within that mold. So absolutely right. I totally agree. I think he's a real threat there. Can we talk about TV now, because that is just completely killing me?
Well, can I just ask very quickly, who do y'all have for Best Actress Comedy in the film side?
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman.
You have Colman as well, Riley?
Yeah.
Who else could possibly win that apart from Emily?
I mean, I'm still worried about Emily Blunt, and I think it's just something that's just gnawing in my head because I want Olivia Colman to win so badly. And part of me always thinks if it's something that I want to win, it's got no shot.
You're overthinking it, Charles. It's okay.
It's what we do.
It's what we do.
I know, but I just think that they don't really love revivals, as we've seen on the TV side. So I kind of think Emily Blunt, right? Been there, done that.
And this is Emily Blunt's year. She has some arguments for her. This is an interesting category. I mean, I don't know if any of you have seen Tully, but Charlize Theron is excellent. Elsie Fisher is really great. Constance Wu is really good. This is a good category.
I would love for Constance Wu to win, but I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's really a two-horse race, this one. And but after seeing Olivia Colman last night, it's fresh in my mind. That's probably making me a little biased. I can't imagine how she's going to lose. She's that good in The Favourite.
She is.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins is getting nothing, not even score, right, Rob?
Yeah, I agree. Would you agree? You think so? I just don't think that film.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to win score.
No, that's Black Panther.
I think it had an impossible task, personally.
Totally. No one's going to be happy. Especially.
No, he's not Julie Andrews. He's not Dick Van Dyke. I mean, it's impossible.
It's impossible. Look, let's talk about TV before we run out of time. The 10 nominated series in drama and comedy, they're all first timers. I'm wrong. They're all in with a shot, I should say. The ones in drama are first timers, okay? And that's what really excites me in particular. Killing Eve, The Americans, Pose, Bodyguard, and Homecoming. Now, we have the rule that you've got to have an actor nominated for the show to have any chance. Well, that doesn't apply here because all the actors are nominated. And the same even goes for comedy, but let's stick with drama for a sec. So I've got Killing Eve at the moment, and I've heard a smattering of support for Homecoming. I've even heard some support for Bodyguard. I've read articles about Pose maybe winning, and The Americans could certainly top off what an amazing run after a really successful Emmys and win tonight as well. I don't know if the Globe voters really actually like The Americans, though, so I'm kind of putting The Americans to the side for a second. That's just me. If it's not Killing Eve, I think it's going to be Bodyguard. I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say. I'm going to you first, Amanda. What's going to win Best Drama Series?
I'm going with Killing Eve. I think Pose is hurt because I don't think they want to have the Ryan Murphy Golden Globes where it's like Ryan Murphy wins limited series, Ryan Murphy wins drama series, Ryan Murphy's actors and actresses win. So I think that I really, really love Killing Eve, but I am not convinced that Homecoming can't take it because I think it's such a smart show. I think Sam Esmail, I mean, it's definitely in his same wheelhouse, but he went from Christian Slater and Rami Malek, which seemed like 2 years ago he was unknown, to Julia Roberts doing a television series. That's hard. I can't get past Sandra Oh and Killing Eve. I think that's the sweep this evening. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know what on drama actor is going to happen, but they don't look back unless they're like in a position where, like for Breaking Bad, where it's like, okay, we're going to look like idiots if we don't award you. Here you go, Bryan Cranston. Yeah. Here you go, Breaking Bad. And that was at the beginning. It wasn't in the middle of the end. Mm-hmm. That kind of kicked off their award series. So I think like The Americans is like, here you go. We nominated you. We're not out of touch, but I don't see it winning anything tonight.
So before we move off to the other guys, do you think that Maisel is going to beat Kaminsky in comedy?
I think it comes down to those two. Although if The Good Place somehow pulled it off, I would be so excited because I think it's had an even better third season. I don't know how it keeps improving.
Very good.
And they might want to give NBC something. They host the GD thing every year.
Yeah,
so I mean, they threw Sterling K. Brown something. So I mean, it doesn't really matter for Rachel Brosnahan. It's been 10 years since Tina Fey won, but if Rachel Brosnahan wins this, I mean, it just cements that she probably won't win another Emmy this year, because, well, one, she's got to go through Julia, and two, Tina Fey did not win back-to-back Emmys. So
yeah, Charlie, where are you headed at the moment in Best Drama Series?
I have Killing Eve in there. I think it's probably the one that has the edge. A lot of people have been. A lot of people were discovering it before the Emmys, but now a lot more people have been watching it. I think there's a lot of excitement for whatever comes next for it. So I think Killing Eve is out front. And I got The Bodyguard as a close second, but not The Bodyguard, just Bodyguard.
On Hulu. It benefits from also being available on Hulu now, so
right.
A lot more.
Yeah.
And what about comedy, Charles? Where are you headed on that one?
Oh God, well, first of all, Amanda, you left out Barry from. Barry got 3 nominations. So I think it's one to be taken seriously in there. And after the Globes were willing to award Atlanta 2 years ago, I think that Barry could be a very, their willingness to embrace something that's so unorthodox, I think is something that should be at least kept in mind. I have Barry winning right now with Maisel as a close second. I actually, but in actress, it's actually interesting to go off Amanda's point. I have Kristen Bell winning Best Actress for The Good Place.
I want that to happen. I just can't make that prediction.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to see that happen. It's everyone seems to really love that.
He deserves it.
Yeah, and Charlie, drama series, what's going to win?
I already told you.
I mean, Riley. Sorry, I had the flu and I'm coked up on whatever they're called. Go, tell me what's going to be.
Always with the excuse.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it'd be Homecoming because it's kind of like Homeland. It's kind of like Mr. Robot with Sam Esmail, and it started strong. I was kind of unfulfilled at the end of the first season, so it's kind of like The Affair. But then the Globes announced that Sandra Oh would be hosting, and obviously they're going to award her. So I wasn't able to predict both Julia Roberts and Homecoming, and I didn't want to do a Homecoming Killing Eve split. So then I thought it could predict Killing Eve, but then they didn't nominate Jodie Comer, which I thought is meaningful because the show only has 2 performances that were in contention. They do nominate people in the same category. They found Stephen James and various other reasons. I don't think that if they really liked Killing Eve, they would have snubbed Jodie Comer. So I'm going with Bodyguard because even if it maybe caught Gold Derby a bit off guard, it was a huge hit, overseas, where the finale was seen by 17 million people in Britain, where they only have, a population of 60 million or so. So it's this massive hit. It's also kind of like Homeland. It's just very edge of your seat, water cooler TV that I think the Globes will want to put a stamp on.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good point, and that's why I think this category in particular is very difficult to predict. And where are you headed on comedy?
On comedy, I'm also thrown off because I keep trying to pair off, a series with an acting win, and I think that Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be irresistible for the Globe voters because it's just so outrageous. And
I actually agree with that wholeheartedly. I think he could be a threat in that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so his show is not nominated because they don't really nominate variety shows in the comedy series category, obviously, which isn't a knock on Sacha Baron Cohen because in the past there's been like Tracy Ullman was nominated 4 times and won once without her show ever getting in. So I wanted to predict Kidding because it seemed like the kind of like vaguely artsy, experimental, nonsense that the Globes like to award, especially for a first season. And I didn't want to predict Marvelous Mrs. Maisel because the Globes, they really seem to like new stuff in the past few years, moving on to stuff like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Mozart in the Jungle that I would think they would normally avoid. So it just seems to me like they want new stuff at any cost. So ultimately, I'm going with this weird split of Kidding in series and Sacha Baron Cohen in actor, which makes no sense.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Look, before we say goodbye, we've got 5 minutes. Riley, you're sticking with us, but if Marcus and Luca could join us when you're ready. While we're waiting, I'd like to hear from all three of you. What is the one thing you're most excited about? Category, someone that you're going to see, some speech, anything, or something that you're kind of sticking your neck out about. Amanda, what is the one thing that you'd like to talk about before we say goodbye?
Well, my two favorite categories of the year are always these supporting, because you just really never know where they're going to go. I do think we know that Henry Winkler is going to win. He's having this feel-good moment, and I think the Globes just want to be part of it. But I think Penelope Cruz is going to win her first Globe. So she should have won for Vicky Cristina Barcelona, but they went Kate Winslet, double win. So I think this is where they're finally going to make it up for her.
Okay, that's a really tough category. Most people are going to Patricia Clarkson. I am as well. But Yvonne Strahovski or Tani Newton or any.
She could definitely win the same way Gillian Froggatt won.
Yeah, that's right. And on the actor side, like Alan Arkin, he's a legend. And a show that
he did not win a Globe for Little Miss Sunshine.
Correct.
So they can go that way.
He wasn't nominated for it, I don't think.
Yeah, that's probably right. Charlie, what are you most excited about?
Oh God, I don't even know if it's excited or just worried. I'm worried about the supporting actress race on the film side is killing me. I want to put it. I want Regina King to win, but I have her at my top spot. I'm really worried that Amy Adams could win or Rachel Weisz. Animated feature. I know a lot of people are going with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But I'm actually picking Incredibles 2 because they just seem to go, ape shit for Pixar. Mm-hmm. Even when it may not be as deserved, like Brave. And those are probably the ones that are causing me the most tension right now. I also think possibly just to offer a counter to Amanda, because I will never let her have the last word on anything. About TV supporting actor. I have Henry Winkler number 2. I have Ben Whishaw winning that actually, because they did really like A Very English Scandal, and I'm very interested to see how that.
I have Hugh Grant winning, so that's why I didn't pick him there. Because I think if you're not picking Hugh Grant, y'all are nuts. Because that's like tailor made to win a Golden Globe.
Wow. It's caused me some unrest. I still have Darren Criss in there, but it's caused me some unrest because I really want.
I've been telling you since that debuted he was going to win a Golden Globe.
Yeah, it's certainly exciting. Riley, what are you most excited about for tonight?
Yeah, I like Charlie's answers. I'm, racking my brain about the supporting actress and animated feature categories.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Well, I think it's probably best that we bid adieu to Amanda and Charlie. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful having you on. But get out. Because now we have to talk to you.
I refuse to go.
Why am
you are all furloughed.
Yeah, that's right. It's a shutdown. Let's just shut the whole thing down. All right. It's lovely seeing you.
Rob, you are doing a fantastic job. You have so many comments. Love is pouring in from everywhere.
Oh, that's lovely. I haven't seen any comments, but I'm very grateful that you even just thought to bring it up. Marcus and Luca. Luca, welcome. I think this is your first time.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great having you on. And Marcus James, you are a vet at these things, aren't you?
Yes. Can we just say where we are, currently Skyping in from? Because I think people would love to know that we're not all in, Los Angeles. I am.
Well, you are. Where are you, Luca?
I'm in Germany, so it's 1 in the morning here, actually.
Oh, getting a bit of European representation. Mate, I know how it feels to be doing middle of the night chats, so good
but
on you.
So I'm excited.
It's a high holy day. It's the first high holy day of the year. Yeah. And Riley, are you in Vancouver still?
I am. Yep.
You are. All right. So and I'm obviously in Sydney, Australia. Matt Noble is traveling, so they had to find another random Australian to host, and I said I will do it. And I have coked up on cold and flu tablets, and here we are. So there's a lot to talk about, guys. I think the best drama film category is always the big one, and most of us seem to be going with A Star Is Born. However, Denton Davidson thinks it's going to be Black Klansman, and Amanda and Charlie think, watch out for Black Panther. I'd love to know what you guys think. Marcus, tell me what's going to win.
I think it's a safe bet that A Star Is Born is going to win. It was just a huge blockbuster, but not as big as Black Panther, of course. But I do have Black Panther winning the Oscar for Best Picture currently. I'm going to wait to see how the Oscar nominations come about, because I think Black Panther is going to get the most nominations of any film this year. But depending on if it gets into stuff like director, screenplay, editing, that will determine whether I keep it at #1 for the Oscars. But long story short, A Star Is Born is the film. And we have to give credit to Warner Brothers and the campaigners for going drama. They could have gone comedy, and I think they could have won easily.
Yeah.
But they went with the tougher route. They want to be seen as a dramatic contender. They don't want to be seen as a silly comedy for their Oscar chances. So I don't know. I think it's that. I think it's a lock. I think the other four, thank you for trying. Thanks for playing the game, but I don't think they're going to get it.
Thank you. Next, Luca.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I would say A Star Is Born is tailor-made for the Golden Globes. I think everything about the movie just screams Golden Globes. I have it from the very beginning. I do have Black Panther in second place because I do feel like it's a movie that needs to be rewarded, and I do think the HFPA would want to award it in some form. And the only other place would be score, and I don't know if score is really the place where they want to award it. So I do have it in second, and I do think Black Klansman does have an outside shot of winning, but for some reason I just think A Star Is Born is going to run away with this one. I mean, Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper, when they're going to have them all on stage, and it'll be the moment of the night.
Yeah, I can already kind of see it happening. Like, it just seems like an absolute no-brainer to me. Although having a Black Panther win would also make headlines too.
It would. As would Crazy Rich Asians winning over on comedy. That would be huge.
That would be huge. And thankfully for that film, Constance Wu is nominated, which means it's not completely out of contention. So moving over to comedy, I think that The Favourite will win, but I understand that that's a problem because Yorgos Lanthimos was not nominated. So I am kind of nervous now that my predictions are going to be really terrible. Luca, what do you think of comedy musical? That's tougher.
That is tough, but I have Green Book in first place. I think it's more of a gut feeling than actual prediction. I just feel like a lot of people at Gold Derby, I think Chris is the one who said at the very beginning that Green Book was going to win Best Comedy Musical, and I just feel like it has a lot of support. I mean, it has all the nominations, and The Favourite missed Best Director, which I think is very telling. They do have all three actresses in, which is very important, but I do think that they needed that Best Director nomination, and Peter Farrelly got into Best Director. And even though there's a lot of controversy surrounding this movie, I do feel like it'll run away with that statuette.
Do you agree, Marcus?
Yeah, and I could almost see the Globe voters saying, screw the controversy. We like this movie, and we're going to even vote for it because of all this. And I don't think the controversy is too bad. I mean,
yeah, the controversy seems to be such a, who cares? Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people really do care, but is it really that big of a deal? I don't know.
But it's not as bad as the Three Billboards one.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was
I think Mrs. Featherbottom also agrees that it's probably Green Book. Sorry.
She wants to be on camera.
She does. She can't help herself. Riley, speaking of Best Director, do you really think it matters where a director is not nominated? The film has a zero chance, like Yorgos Lanthimos not being nominated?
Well, in drama, they're all missing either a director or a screenplay. So you just kind of have to consider, what's more meaningful. Like, I don't think people were too upset about A Star Is Born missing Best Screenplay.
Yeah, it's kind of giving me some grief, but I just don't know, especially on the comedy side, whether it matters as much as the drama side. And I don't know why that is, but it just seems history says that a drama film really does need that director nominated. Otherwise, it's going to struggle.
I mean,
you guys convinced me
like The Hangover, where it just has no other nominations.
That's right.
What I would
you guys convinced me earlier. I had The Favorite winning, but when you all reminded me about The Favorite not getting in for director, I said, oh my gosh, that's huge. How did I forget that?
I know, right?
So I went in and switched. I don't know. You may be able to still switch your predictions now at Gold Derby. I think you still have probably half an hour left. So that was my last switch of the year. I'm not going to switch anything else. But I feel safe about Green Book winning.
Me too.
Okay. All right.
I would love for Crazy Rich Asians to win, but I think that's a long shot, even though I think it would be a great moment. I think they can win SAG Ensemble. I think they do have a chance, but I don't think it will, unfortunately, happen here.
Well, sticking with the film categories, is a category we haven't really talked, two categories we haven't really talked a lot about yet, and that's Best Film Drama Actress and Best Film Drama Actor. Talking about the ladies first, you know, for months before precursors started to land, many of us thought this was going to be Glenn Close's year. And then Toni Collette won a few things in the beginning. She's not even nominated tonight. But Lady Gaga, once A Star Is Born became a big hit and people realized that this wonderful pop star can actually act, I can't see how she's going to lose drama actress. And I'm just wondering if all of you guys agree. Luca, what do you think?
I definitely agree. I think she's definitely winning this. I think she's going to win 2 Golden Globes. Before I had Globes at #1 just for talking about it. And then I just had this moment where I said, Lady Gaga is going to win this. Everybody loves A Star Is Born. Everybody's talking about her performance. And she just has that industry love, that industry support, which I think is very important. And she did win for American Horror Story Hotel. Personally, I didn't like her performance in that, but now she's in this great movie. She gives a great performance. I don't think anyone can beat her.
You know what's really interesting is that when she won for Hotel, the Globes were like made fun of. And everyone thought, here we go again. Star whores, they're giving it to the big star. She doesn't deserve it. Lady Gaga shouldn't be winning acting prizes. And now she could probably win the Oscar. Riley, do you think this is Lady Gaga's to lose?
Yeah, I think this Glenn Close stuff has been nonsense from the start. I don't think anybody's itching for Glenn Close to win an Oscar,
really?
Especially not for a movie called The Wife.
No.
I think this is
it's a bad title.
Lady Gaga win. I don't think Olivia Colman is much of a challenger either.
Yeah, it's a done deal, I think, as well. And Marcus, do you think so as well?
Yeah, and I watched The Wife and A Star Is Born like in the same week, and I watched The Wife first, and I thought, oh, Glenn Close, you know, she's great. That's a good performance. She could win for that. And then I saw A Star Is Born, and I'm like, there's no comparison. I don't know, you know, Lady Gaga for her first big film performance. This is absolutely incredible. She's singing, she's dancing, she's doing everything that you need to do to win an Oscar, and she kind of makes Glenn Close look like second fiddle.
Yeah, can you imagine? Like, that's amazing. What an achievement. But
I have Glenn Close in third for this category.
Who do you have in second?
For McCarthy.
Okay. I mean, Melissa McCarthy, it's a kind of transformative performance, and she's a comedian. That's what we most know her for, and she gives a very different type of performance in Can You Ever Forgive Me? Rosamund Pike was a surprise nominee for me from A Private War. I really expected Toni Collette to be nominated here, and I'm very disappointed she wasn't. And then, of course, you have Nicole Kidman for Destroyer, a very different type of performance from her, although the Globes love Nicole and will nominate her for Reading the Phone Book. So I don't put a lot of weight on her particular nomination here, and I just think she should be very grateful to be invited. Let's move over to the blokes, though, because that one is interesting too. So John David Washington, I would have thought maybe 3 months ago was going to start winning lots of awards, but I'm not sure whether he can pull this one off because Bradley Cooper's in here and Rami Malek's in here, and Rami Malek has won before. And
not at the Globes.
Not at the Globes, I'm sorry. He's won other awards for Mr. Robot. Thank you. But can he possibly lose? I mean, I think this is more of a lock than song.
I think the fact that he has never won a Globe really helps him here. And somebody earlier said that the Globes are, you know, well aware of their history. And if that's true, you know, the fact that he lost Mr. Robot to John Hamm, I believe it was, or maybe Billy Bob Thornton, or maybe both. That really helps him win here. And I know Bradley Cooper is great, but Bradley Cooper is also the director. He could win that. He's a producer. He could win that. So they may decide to give it to Rami here and give Bradley something else.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and forth between Malek and Cooper, I think, all day. And then I decided to go with Malek just because I feel like they have to reward Bohemian Rhapsody somewhere because they love it so much. And I also fear that Cooper will split the vote with himself, you know, across all categories since he is in Best Director and in Best Picture since he's a producer as well. And I don't know, there's just so much hype around Malik's performance. I think even those people who hated the movie, and there are a lot of people who did, I think they loved his performance. What I do think is interesting is that Cooper and Malik have never won a Globe. Both have never won a Globe. I looked that up. So it'll be interesting.
That is interesting. I didn't know that about Cooper. Riley, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like I'm the last one predicting Bradley Cooper. Everyone's jumped over to Ron Malik. I feel like the Globes sometimes have higher brow taste than we expect them to, because they do stuff like Lady Gaga every so often that stands out in memory. And the last couple of years, they've really been doubling down on the films that they like Three Billboards and La La Land. And Bradley Cooper is giving a big performance in his own way. So I think he still has a shot at this.
Okay. Well, talking about another interesting category before we move over to TV, and that's Best Film Supporting Actor. To me, that is really up in the air. A lot of people think Mahershala Ali will win. He didn't win for Moonlight, ended up winning the Oscar. This could be his makeup Globe. Although I can envisage seeing Richard E. Grant up on stage. He's been acting for many, many years, and he's very recognizable, but a lot of people probably don't really know who he is. And I think this will be just one of those, you've paid your dues, here you go, here's a statue, thank you, next. What do you guys think? Marcus?
This is tough. And Timothée Chalamet is not out of this. He's the young, new blood that they love. And last year, he lost everything to Gary Oldman in Best Actor. But now that he's a supporting actor, he could finally make his way up on stage, and there's going to be millions of people screaming if he does across the country, across the world. But then again, Beautiful Boy was not that well received, and Green Book was. So I am picking Mahershala to win, but don't be surprised if it's Timothy.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think that the only person who can't win at all, well, maybe at all is probably the wrong word, but Sam Rockwell. I just feel like he won last year, and he doesn't have a lot of screen time in Vice. And there's just a lot of backlash surrounding that movie as well. But I think that Driver could win. I think Chalamet could win. I think Grant could win. And I think Ali could win. And right now I'm predicting Mahershala just because they snubbed him 2 years ago for Moonlight, and then he won everything else. I would love for Timothy to win. I just watched Beautiful Boy on Friday, and he just, he was amazing. That would be my personal choice. But I don't know, the movie, that he's practically he is the only nominee, will be the only nomination throughout award season, which is a bit sad, but I get it.
And they're both kind of leads too. Mahershala is almost a co-lead in Green Book, and Timothy is a co-lead in Beautiful Boy, so that helps.
Yeah,
and they love Green Book.
Well, the Golden Globe winners, they often seem like they're by design, like the spread of them. And I think that's because there are so few voters that they actually can coordinate their votes and make sure that, every TV studio gets an award and every film gets an award. And what I've noticed this year about predictions is that we're actually predicting a bunch of films to win a lot of awards, which is not something that the Globes really do. Like in the last 10 years, the Globes have given multiple awards to either 2 or 3 films. Whereas this year, I think we're, predicting Vice to win a couple, we're predicting Green Book to win a couple, and The Favorite to win a couple, and The Star is Born. And this will be an anomalous year if the Gold River predictions are correct, which, with the Globes, they often are not, in terms of how the winners are spread.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a point for Richard E. Grant, since Green Book might be covered elsewhere.
Yeah. Moving over to the TV side, Riley has already had the opportunity to talk about Best Drama Series, but I'm curious to see what what you two guys think, because all 5 drama series nominated shows are first-timers, and that I think they all have arguments for and against. They all have actors nominated as well, which helps them. And I've seen articles and I've heard people talk about all 5 shows actually having a chance to win. So Killing Eve, The Americans Pose, Bodyguard, and Homecoming. I'm going with Killing Eve. I think Killing Eve will win both of its awards tonight, although I am very nervous about Jodie Comer not being nominated, which Riley brought up earlier. What do you guys think? Luca, do you think that Killing Eve has this in the bag, or are you thinking another show is going to take it?
I had Killing Eve this morning at #1 still, and then a few hours ago I switched to Homecoming. I always think about whether something's going to go hand in hand, because I think actress and drama series have often gone hand in hand. And that's why, since I have Sandra Oh in actress, I should have predicted Killing Eve in drama series. But I don't know, the Jodie Comer snub kind of bothered me. And I think that may be a sign, whereas Homecoming was able to get 2 acting nominations and it's Amazon. And they've never given Amazon a drama series win. So I think, you know, since they love Amazon so much, and since Homecoming is a show that was very well reviewed, it seems like something the Globes would love. I mean, they also gave it to Sam Esmail for Mr. Robot. So I think it could happen. I mean, it would be without an acting win in my predictions, but maybe it's the first time. We'll see.
What about you, Marcus?
I don't think this Jodie Comer thing is a snub. I think they're trying to give a signal to the show and say, she's not a lead, she's supporting. And if she had been in supporting, I honestly think she would have got nominated. Mm-hmm. That's at the Emmys, at the Globes, you know, everything's SAG, not SAG, they don't have supporting, but yeah, I really do think that.
But don't the Globes like they're like young international stars though?
Yeah, but it's rare for the Globes to nominate 2 leads from the same show. I know they've done it, but it's rare. They like to spread the wealth. So I think that's the issue with that, and that's why I'm not letting it affect my prediction. I am picking Killing Eve for series and for actress, and then I have Richard Madden for actor.
Yeah,
and that could go anyways. I don't know. I don't know who's in first. I don't know who's in fifth. That category, drama actor, is insane.
Mess.
It's a mess. It's a hot mess. Although I do think Richard Madden is going to take it. I think they're going to give Bodyguard something. That is just too popular. As Riley said earlier, it got like half of the British population watching that. It was just huge, and everyone I speak to who has seen it has just raves about it. And Richard Madden, you know, we all know him from Game of Thrones, and I just think this is his moment. He will win this. I am not convinced that the Globe voters actually even watched the Americans. I think they just nominated the 3 just because they kind of had to, and they really love Jason Bateman from Ozark. He's back. I think he's actually the only male that hasn't been nominated, or that has been nominated before, so that's fascinating.
And the thing about Jason Bateman is, you know, we always say that the movie stars win these TV races. He's the only movie star in this category, so he could win, and I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I thought he would win last year, kind of on that argument, especially since it was a new show then. I'll say also about Bodyguard, I guess it's kind of debatable whether British is a genre, but the Globes, they always love these British shows, and it's always in a manner that's kind of more than we expect. Like they'll award Wolf Hall when they won't award any of the actors, or they'll award all the actors from The Night Manager, or they'll find extras or the original The Office before, you know, they've even come over to the States. And I wonder if this is another thing where they're kind of ahead of the trend because maybe they have people over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was shocked that J.K. Simmons was not nominated for Best Lead Actor for Counterpart, and I thought he was going to win, honestly. And I was just shocked when on nominations morning he was not on the list. And this lineup is insane. Anyone could win. I mean, I had Matthew Rhys for the longest time just because he won the Emmy, and I feel like maybe they'd like to award the Americans, but because he's too popular, Game of Thrones, and because Bodyguard is such a huge show, I think he's going to win.
And even though I do think Sandra Oh's winning, I think Katrina Balfe has an outside shot, because the Globe voters know how popular the show is. This is her 4th nomination.
It's amazing.
That's rare. At the Golden Globes, especially in peak TV, this era that we're in now, for someone to get 4 nominations in a row and not win is almost criminal. So it could happen, Outlander fans.
I'm really glad that you say that, because I was going to mention it earlier and thought, well, you know, I'll just wait and see what you guys think. But Katrina Balfe, 4 nominations in a row, very rarely happens. I think it's like a Sarah Jessica Parker type situation where she's
it's like a Liev Schreiber situation.
Yeah, true.
Did he get 4? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I think. Look, to maybe it's because they wanted to give stars something. They do like to give every network and every platform some kind of recognition. But Outlander is huge on the internet, and if she were to win, it would really be a huge story for the Globes. So I don't think she's necessarily completely out of this. I actually think Kerry Russell and Elizabeth Moss are more out of this than Katrina Balfour. So fascinating. You know what? I always say this every year, and I'm going to say it again. I love what the HFPA does on the TV side. I think they really know what they're doing. I love it. You don't agree?
Rob, but do you like it when you get 0% because they just throw all these surprises at us? I don't like that.
It'll be worse tonight.
Okay. I don't really like that though, but I don't know. I just love how they just think outside the box, and to see like a Billy Porter nomination and Stefan James and Sacha Baron Cohen, that's cool. Like that really, I love that. And speaking of things that are really cool, The Good Place, best comedy, best actress. Can it win either, Marcus?
I think it can. I am picking Maisel and Rachel to win again, which is extremely rare for the Globes. But I don't know who would be in second. I guess maybe The Good Place would be in second. Maybe Kaminsky's in second. Yeah. I don't know. So I'm just going to go with the front runner, which
Nobody knows.
According to Gold Derby, it's Maisel and Rachel.
Yeah. What do you think, Luca?
Yeah, I was thinking about putting Kristen Bell in number one, but I had to stay with Rachel just because the second season was even more acclaimed than the first season, and people are still talking about her performance. She could just be another Sarah Jessica Parker who won I don't know how many times. And I just feel like her performance is too acclaimed. And then for comedy, between the Kaminsky Method, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I just kept it at number one because I have no idea. And it's a new show. The Emmys didn't give it best comedy series. They gave it to Maisel. So perhaps that could win, but I could see The Good Place winning. I could see the Kaminsky method winning. And there's even an argument for Kidding. So
yeah, true.
It's crazy.
Riley, do you think there's any real spoiler on the comedy side?
Well, I'll just say about The Good Place. Like, I'm dreading Kristen Bell winning, but more objectively,
you're dreading.
Yeah, but
please explain.
I mean, the Globes, they have so few categories that we have to kind of latch on to the nominations that they give us. And I don't understand where Ted Danson is, because he's a Globe favorite. And I think he gives the performance that is considered more acclaimed. So why is he not nominated?
Yeah, that's true.
And like, that's kind of what's stopping me from predicting either Kristen Bell or The Good Place, even though I feel like it's kind of a new thing that the Globes might like.
Well, another category that sorry, Marcus, go ahead.
I was going to say, before us three sign off, I have to talk about TV supporting actress.
Sure.
This is the one category where I'm picking the person that's in fifth place at Gold Derby. And I don't know why no one else is picking her. It's Yvonne Strahovski. She was so fantastic in season 2 that it reminds me, remember The Affair? The Affair won the Golden Globe for actress and drama series. And then the next year, it basically got snubbed, except for Maura Tierney got in for supporting, and she won. I think we're going to see kind of a similar scenario. Even though they've dropped Handmaid's Tale, they still recognize this performance, and we can't forget that.
Yeah, they overlooked Ann Dowd. They went straight to Yvonne Strahovski. They were watching, because she was the best thing about
That's the key. They were watching it.
Yeah.
Love it if Yvonne won. I think she completely deserves it. She was amazing in the second season. I mean, I saw Patricia Clarkson in number one. It's just one of those feelings. I think they liked Sharp Objects, and a lot of people didn't like her role on the show or didn't like her acting. I thought she was amazing. But I think it could also go to Penelope Cruz, or it could also go to Tandy Newton. It could go to anyone. It's one of those categories where it could go to anyone.
But you got the two Emmy winners, right? You got Alex Borstein, Tandy Newton. You got Yvonne Strahovski, who many of us thought was going to win the Emmy. Penelope Cruz should have won for Vicky Cristina Barcelona a long time ago. And Patricia Clarkson, she's a previous Tony and Oscar nominee. And so that's a killer category.
Yeah, Marcus, I'm totally with you. I'll give you another one too. Joanne Froggatt for Downton Abbey. That's a show that had one series, had been dropped from series, but she was giving a performance that the Globes felt deserved recognition. And I feel like this will be another case of the Globes surprising us by how they're actually paying attention to what's happening in these shows that we all watch.
Yeah.
You said that you're predicting 1 fifth place contender. I'm actually predicting 4.
Oh my goodness!
Who are they?
So there's that tweet from the TV chair of the Hollywood Foreign Press talking about shame on you prediction sites. You can't predict the Globes because we're so unpredictable. And I took that as a great sign because, yeah, I think the Gold Derby predictions are totally off. So,
okay, that's good to know. Look, while I might as well just ask for Joyce and Daniel and Tony to join us, and when you're ready, and while we're waiting for them to join us, guys, I would love to hear more about things that you're excited to see tonight. So, for example, we haven't had a chance to talk about the song category. Most people just say, it's just in the bag for Shallow. No one else has a chance. But I do want to say that it is a very interesting category. Like, you've got, you know, Girl in the Movies, a Dolly Parton song, and Revelation from Troye Sivan, from Boy Erased, and All the Stars, Kendrick Lamar, and Requiem for a Private War. It's a very, very interesting category. If Shallow wasn't going to win, what would you guys say would be the winner in that category, Riley?
Girl in the Movies, because Dolly Parton.
Okay.
And Gold Star sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Luca?
I would say All the Stars. I would say then Black Panther has it. If it's not Shallow, even though we all know Shallow's running away with that award.
Yeah.
But I would say it's All the Stars then. Or Revelation, who knows? Maybe they want to give Troye Sivan something. He seems like a typical Globe winner. But
we never really had to think about it.
Never really had to think about it. Marcus, do you think this is just a completely useless discussion?
There is no second place, but Daniel, I love your bow tie.
Thank you. I will be your head waiter today.
Agree. I'd like a salmon, if you don't mind. So, all right, guys. It was great meeting you, Luca. Thank you, Riley, for joining us. And Marcus, once again, always a pleasure to have you on. Enjoy Golden Globes night tonight. And, yeah, we'll see you later. Basically, get out. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, so this is the final section of our pre-show. I am joined by really just the A-team now. I've got Tony Ruiz and Daniel Montgomery and Joyce Eng. Joyce, I've never had the opportunity to meet you face-to-face after.
I know, it's finally time.
It's finally time. We're finally here. We've done it. Welcome.
This is the meet cute.
It is. It's wonderful. So, I'm just going to use I'm going to throw caution to the wind. Okay. We've been talking about dramas here. Oh! Hang on a second, everybody. Stop. We must stop talking because our fearless leader has joined us. Tom, can you hear me?
Oh my God, that's no reason to stop talking. I need to hear what you're saying so I can steal from you.
Well, I think we have to start at the top because we've talked about this all night. Most people are going with A Star is Born in drama, film. There are a couple of outliers. Some people think Black Klansman could be a statement, and some people think Black Panther could be a statement. I'm just wondering if any of you think that A Star is Born could lose, and I want to go to Tony first. What's going on in that category? Because that's the big one.
I'm boringly predictable and staying with A Star is Born. But what's really interesting is that the two films that you mentioned, Black Klansman and Black Panther, are my number 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And I think that there's been a lot of buzz pleasantly about Black Klansman. And I think that to write off particularly Black Klansman and Spike Lee, I think would be foolish. I think they totally have a shot in this.
Yeah. And what about you, Daniel?
I've got Stars Born. I'd be a renegade and think, it's going to be something completely different, but like maybe somewhere else. I feel like this is not necessarily a lock, but it's close to one. Like best song is a lock. This is, I'd say I'm 90% the Stars Born is going to win best picture drama. I think Black Klansman is the closest behind. I think there's a strong case to be made for Spike Lee winning director. And if that's the case, that makes Black Klansman look really good for Best Picture. Black Panther has a shot just because it would be the big, bold kind of headline grabbing choice. It's a popular film. It's an acclaimed film. No one would be upset if it won. But I feel like it needed maybe a couple more nominations to, indicate that they actually liked it. So I don't see it happening with just song and score nominations. I think it needed like Michael B. Jordan in or something like that.
I mean, what a statement though! If it was to win, it would make headlines, and I think it would really I think it would be the top story. Black Panther, the big blockbuster, actually won the big prize. Joyce, what do you think?
I have A Star Is Born like almost everyone else, but I do agree. Like, I think everyone's been underestimating Black Klansman this whole season, and it's like pretty much hit everything it's needed to hit so far. And I'm kind of like mostly shocked that it didn't get into like screenplay, because I feel like that would have been an easy win for Spike Lee. Black Panther, again, I agree with Daniel. Like, it could happen, but it's just missing too many above the line nominations. Well, I guess most of their categories are above the line, but they don't have directing, acting, or writing. So it would, I think, like, if they were gonna give it to something besides A Star Is Born, between Black Klansman and Black Panther, it'd be Black Klansman. But I'm also not ruling out Bohemian Rhapsody, given how much they supposedly love it. But I feel like if they wanted to award that, they'll just give it to Rami.
That's right. Look, okay, look, the three of you aren't helping me at all. Tom, just tell me what to do, please.
Well, I keep having this nagging feeling like you guys have just articulated that, boy, we are underestimating Spike Lee and Black Klansman all over the place, because as Joyce just said, it's overperforming everywhere. It's except here, it didn't get the screenplay nomination, but boy, it got Adam Driver in, it got John David Washington in. It's over, and Spike Lee. Now, I have been told by two actual insiders of the Golden Globe scene that my prediction of Spike Lee is insane, and I accept that. But I think that the Globes love to spread the wealth, and I think there's a real chance here. The long shot I'm going out for, and I feel very good about, is Rachel Weisz. I think that she's the one person we keep underestimating for supporting actress, and I think we may see her pop here and go all the way Oscar bound. I think I'm just kind of jumping off a cliff with the Spike Lee thing, because I think that's the place where the voters can make a statement, a big statement. They often divide the wealth, between picture and director, and this is a great place where they can do it. I agree that Black Klansman is in second place, and that it could win here. But that said, it's The Star Is Born is the best picture frontrunner. It has to win here. The fact that it's competing for best drama picture and not best musical picture is insane, but that's another matter.
That is insane. I just think I've said it a few times already, but it just seems like destiny that the 1976 A Star Is Born swept all 5 of its categories, and tonight A Star Is Born is nominated 5 times, and it's probably going to do it again. Maybe, you never know. And that would be a really lovely story for that.
Right, but that is a lovely story. Let's stay on that, on the good news of that. We kind of harumph about it because it's old news to us. But let's put this in perspective here. What's going to happen at the Globes tonight, one way or another, is Lady Gaga is going to be crowned the Queen of Hollywood, the same way that Jennifer Lawrence was the year that she won the Oscar and swept the boards. That was a year of where she had Hunger Games. She had the previous nomination at the Oscars for Winter's Bone. She was at the peak of her game, and she was crowned. Here's Lady Gaga now, the ultimate Globe superstar, glitterati star, the red carpet star that they love. She's crossed over so successfully to film. She has to win. She'll win for song. And so in a way, what makes this awards year for us exciting, even if A Star Is Born goes all the way, and this is all so predictable, and that we end up as awardologists being so bored because, it's one of those years, 12 Years a Slave year, where something just sweeps. Look, what a great story. These awards are all about the narrative, and the narrative here is the Queen of Hollywood takes her crown. And Lady Gaga saved the Oscars, 5 years ago with that Star Is Born medley. I mean, I remember years and years, I don't know how many years ago, 15 years ago, Joan Rivers turned to me and put a finger in my face and said, "That Lady Gaga, she's the real deal."
Yeah.
And you know what, Joan, or I should go Joan down there. She was such a devil. Joan, I think she's right, and I think that's going to pop. And I think that's a wonderful story. If that's the whole story of award season, wow, that's fucking cool.
It is very cool. And, a few years ago when she won for Hotel, everyone was like, the Globes, you're a star.
Oh, except me, I love that.
And he impeached me now.
That's the famous or infamous American Horror Story installment where they, remember, Ryan Murphy kills off a Gold Derby blogger by beating one of us, he doesn't say who, beating one of us to death with an Oscar statuette and then shoving it up his or her ass.
Yeah, lovely.
Gold Derby makes a starring role.
I think that character was named Martin Gamboa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lovely. Please, let's not hire anyone.
Well, you know, Ryan Murphy's just agreed to participate in an event we're doing about Gold Derby on the 15th of January. We're going to introduce Ryan to the crowd with the question of, who is the Gold Derby blogger you killed?
Yeah, we must know. We need to know. Let's talk about comedy or musical, because that's even more exciting, because I think all 5 films can win. Absolutely can win. Tony, do you agree with me? Please tell me someone agrees with me that the favourite's going to win this one, because I think even without the Yorgos Lanthimos director nomination, I still think the favourite's going to win. What do you think?
How do I let you down, Jensen? No, I'm going for Green Book on this one. Only because honestly, I would be with you, except that Green Book got that director nomination.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, really? So the fact that it got that director nomination says, okay, this movie has touched a nerve with people. So I just think that Green Book is the feel good, uplifting movie that they love to go with in this category. I think the favorite might be just a little bit too. I mean, it might be too dark,
a bit too wacky,
a bit too all over the place, a little bit too Yorgos Lanthimos for that.
It's a good adjective. It's perfect. Okay, that's interesting, Daniel.
But wait a minute, though. But let's jump in here and build on that point for a second, which is that the Globes have been going very edgy over the past 2 years. They went for Moonlight and they went for 3 Billboards on the drama side. So they've been sending a statement like the Oscars have lately of that, you know, we're going for the art house stuff, and that's what makes the favorite such a compelling choice here for us predictors. Is that when I checked in with all the consultants, there were about 8 or 9 consultants to the HFPA, all the networks, all the studios have consultants. So I kind of asked them what they think. And when the Golden Globe nominations came out, they said, "Oh my God, it's all about Green Book. It's their favorite year of the movie, year of the year, and it's Vigo's out front." But then I kept hearing that the favorite from actual more insiders with HFPA. And so when I finally checked in with them this week and said, "All right, what's your final decision? Speak now or forever hold your peace." I think two of them said the favorite and one said Green Book, but I still go with Green Book because, as Tony said, it's got that director's nomination, and I still think it's just feels important. And also, it's male-centric. Remember, a vast majority of HFPA are male.
Yeah, that probably helps. Daniel, do you think it's Green Book all the way?
I think it's Green Book. I don't think it's as easy as, say, A Star is Born in drama. What's interesting is that we all thought, or at least I did, when Star is Born said they were going drama, it's like, well, make things easier for yourself, win the comedy awards. But it's actually, I think it dodged the bullet, because this is actually a much tougher race. And Green Book outperformed it in the sense that it got directing and writing nominations. If they really wanted to take care of Peter Farrelly, he's one of the co-writers, so they didn't have to nominate him for director per se. It's a much less showy piece of directing than The Favorite, which they snubbed for directing. So I feel good about Green Book winning that, and then I've actually got it winning 4 of its 5, I think.
Wow.
Just because that's the way no, maybe 3 out of its 5. I don't have it winning screenplay.
Do you have it winning supporting actress?
Do you have?
I have Green Book winning both Vigo and Mahershala, in addition to pictures. I don't have it winning writing or directing.
Wow. Okay. Joyce, do you think Green Book is the key here?
Yeah, I have Green Book because, like everyone said, it has writing, directing. Like it and Vice are the only movies of all 10 nominees that maxed out when it hit their ceiling. Like everything else is missing something, or just got snubbed somewhere. Like Sam Elliott with A Star Is Born and screenplay too. And I can't it's kind of like when I do the Globes, I kind of negotiate like how many awards they're gonna give like each movie or studio. And I don't know if they're gonna do more than 2 for any other movie besides A Star is Born. So I have Green Book winning Mahershala and musical comedy. And I have favorite winning screenplay and Olivia. But I can easily see favorite winning film and Green Book winning screenplay as well. Like it kind of reminds me of the Grand Budapest and Birdman year when everyone thought Wes Anderson would win screenplay and Birdman would win comedy or musical, and it was the other way around. But I'm going with Green Book just because I think it is the most like crowd pleasing one, and it's the most accessible of like all of like the ones, or just between that and Vice and The Favorite, because I feel like Crazy Rich Asians and Mary Poppins in a weaker year, maybe they would win. But yeah, Green Book.
Figo's been charming them too, by the way, over at the HFPA events. And behind the scenes, the campaigner involved here is Tony Angelotti, who used to be a really, really big deal in Oscarland. He had a company with a man named Murray Weissman that put Harvey Weinstein on the map of awards. You may have heard of him. And then they split up. Murray and Tony had separate companies for years, and Tony went on to win Best Picture for Gladiator, for Beautiful Mind. And he took this exclusive representation deal with Universal and Pixar that's kind of taken him out of the loop in recent years as a player. We editors and we experts often will base our predictions on who the campaigner is, because you have to take that into account. The people behind the scenes pulling the levers here are formidable, and they tend to be very, very key in these award wins. Tony wants this really bad. Tony has not been a player, or Universal has not been a player for a while at these awards. So Tony's going to be crazy behind the scenes, just doing everything he can, every event, every single thing that's big time. And so the other day when I was talking about the Globes and this whole race with one of the top industry executives, she said, she goes, well, what scares me the most is that Tony Angelotti is on the other side of Green Book, and he wants this bad. He needs it. And Tony is ruthless. Tony is he's a warrior, and this is his big chance for glory. He hasn't had a big player at the Globe since Les Mis.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Look, before we talk about other film categories, can we quickly switch over to TV? Because I think the most interesting race is also the big one over there, and that's drama series. All 5 series, first-timers. I think all 5 could win. They all have actors nominated. I'm at a loss here because Killing Eve is my choice, but you've got the Americans who could follow what their really great success at the Emmys in their final season. You've got Pose, the big new Ryan Murphy show from FX. Bodyguard, huge hit all over the world. Richard Madden probably going to win TV drama actor. And then, of course, Homecoming, Sam Esmail's new show from Amazon with no one other than Julia Roberts. So this one's hurting my brain. And I'd love to know, Joyce, what do you think? Like, where are you headed on drama series?
I have no idea because I've been like, I've like lost sleep over it too. Like I finally just went with Killing Eve just by default because I have Sandra winning, and they usually like to pair up a performer and a show. And I know like they love Amazon. I actually had Homecoming for a while, but I couldn't justify it winning series without an acting win because I'm also predicting Richard Madden for actor. So I just ultimately went with Killing Eve. And I know a lot of people are citing like Jodie Comer's snub as reason not to predict it, but I don't really think that is like as big of a deal as people make it out to be, just because they were both competing in the same category. And, like it's very rare for performers have done it before, but like actors from the same show being nominated in the same category, sometimes they usually have more than the 5, like in with ties when they have that. So I have Killing Eve, but I would not be surprised if any of the other shows win.
What about you, Daniel?
I've got Homecoming. I did at the beginning, and I think, like Joy says, any of them can win. And I had Homecoming early, and I couldn't think of a reason enough to switch from it. It did as well as it could have possibly done with getting both Julia and Stefan James in. I do have Sandra Oh winning actress, so I'm predicting Stefan James to be what they double up with. He's also in If Beale Street Could Talk. It's a little bit of a hope diction, I will admit, but I feel like if they're going to double up, if they're it's the newest show. They love the newest shows. They love Amazon. Like these are the awards that gave it to Mozart in the Jungle for comedy a couple of years ago. And this is a much higher profile show. So I've got it winning those two. I do think Richard Madden could win as well. As much as I'm a huge fanboy for The Americans, I'm not convinced they ever really liked it that much. And I'm not convinced that they feel like they need to award it something.
Yeah, it's not like a Breaking Bad situation where it was too big to ignore.
Next year it'll be Veep and Game of Thrones, because those will be too big to ignore.
Exactly. There's a bit of lip service there.
Yeah, I don't think The Americans is that big. I don't think it's too big to fail.
I don't even think they watch it. Tony, what do you reckon?
I've had Killing Eve since the nominations for all the reasons that you said. I have gone back and forth on Best Actor about 5 gazillion times, and then about an hour and a half ago, I switched to Richard Madden.
The last minute switcheroo.
From who?
Dangerous.
I had Matthew Rhys in there for a while, simply as a placeholder. The problem, I think, with Homecoming is that I don't think Homecoming has necessarily hit the zeitgeist the way Killing Eve has, or even Bodyguard for that matter. Those two shows are just shows that people are obsessed with. And so I just feel like Killing Eve has a bit more of the prestige factor behind it. So that's my logic. I think Sandra's going to win in Best Actress. But then with Bodyguard, Richard Madden is the bodyguard. He's the title character of the freaking show. And he fits that kind of like that Tom Hiddleston profile that they like to go with at the Globes a little bit, like they did with the Night Manager. So, but this category could make me, bash my head against the wall. I'm so freaking, stressed out by it.
You know what's cool? Before I ask Tom for his final opinion on this category, what's cool is, for me, if any of these shows win, I'll be happy. Like, I will be applauding no matter what happens. They're all great. Once again, HFPA, good job. You did a really good job on this category. Tom, just tell us what's going to happen, please, so we can just be done with this one.
God, I'm kicking myself now because I wanted to switch to Madden, but maybe since the prediction center is now closed, I'll be glad that I don't get to do the last minute switcheroo. I went with Stephen James because he's had such a breakthrough year with Beale Street and with Homecoming, and he's so charming, and he's been campaigning. He's everywhere, by the way. So he's done that job. Amazon wants this bad. They're not going to give it to Julia Roberts because of Sandra Oh's in the way. And I agree with Joyce that they tend to line up a series award with an acting award. So that means Sandra Oh, of course, will win. And then Killing Eve, I put out front there. But, they could do anything crazy. They could go with Pose, for that matter. They went with Glee, right? They love Ryan Murphy shows. They went with Nip Tuck years ago with Ryan Murphy. So anything can happen here. But I think that if I could switch now, I would switch to Madden. But I'm betting on Stephen James. And I still think there's hope there.
Okay. Well, before I ask my final question, I'm just interested to hear about a couple of categories that we haven't talked about at all. And that's, for example, foreign language film. I think it's Roma. In fact, we've not talked about Roma at all this whole time, but Roma's going to take that in. That's in the bag. I think that's more of a lock than shallow in song. And I also think that I have a feeling Black Panther's going to at least win score for Ludwig Göransson. But that's my view. I'd like to hear now from you guys. You tell me, what's the one thing you're most excited about, or the one prediction that you're most excited about, or something about tonight that you want us to hear about? And I'm going to go to you first, Tony, and we'll just go down the line and then we're done.
I'm really interested to see. I think the pairing of Sandra Oh and Andy Samberg is has the potential to be absolutely inspired. The Oscars are having all this mishigas over finding a host. That it'll just be nice. The Globes are more relaxed. It's a little bit more free flowing along with the champagne, and I think those two could really have some really great moments. My hope is that the Globes don't make the mistake that they've made in the past, which is you have a great host, you just trot them out at the beginning, and then you never really see them again. I'd like them to be more of a presence throughout the evening. But I'm really interested to see what those two do together.
Daniel.
I'm excited to see them too. I feel like we probably won't see that much of them because not only do they have the same number of categories as usual, but they're giving a second Lifetime Achievement Award, Cecil B. DeMille, and the new Carol Burnett Award to Carol Burnett. So I feel like they're going to be a little bit more crunched for time, unless they, decide to pull an Oscars and give Best TV Supporting Actress during like a commercial break or something, which I don't think anyone would stand for. I am looking forward to that pairing. I'm not sure I'm looking forward to any one category in particular. I sort of just want to be right most of the time.
So you hope you're right.
I just hope I'm right. Yeah, like if I'm right about more things than everyone else, then it's like, oh my goodness, those are great results. There have been times where a movie that I genuinely don't like will win something, but I was predicting it, and I'm like, yes. So it's
I hate always win.
So I always have to recalibrate my brain towards, oh no, wait, this thing actually deserved to win. So
there you go, Joyce.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Sandra and Andy as well. Like, I think they'll do well. And I'm hoping like they'll do some like tape bits, because I feel like in the past the hosts we have, they just do the monologue and then like maybe like one or two like other bits from the stage. And I feel like because of Andy's Lonely Island background and SNL background, they could do some fun tape bits. So I'm hoping to see that. And the only thing I want to win is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, that's a possibility. That's a real.
I know. I just hope like they're like cool enough and hip enough to it that they'll do it and give it to him instead of like Incredibles 2.
Yeah, I've actually got Isle of Dogs there because they gave it the extra score nomination. It has kind of snob appeal that the superhero movies might cancel each other out. Is what I'm worried about there.
The HFPA, synonymous with cool and hip.
Mm-hmm. They want to seem cool and hip at all times.
Gross. Okay, so look, apart from Lady Gaga being the Queen of the Globes, Tom, what else are you most excited about?
Well, we're looking for what's going to break through here and take on A Star Is Born at the Oscars, right? So if The Favorite wins comedy musical picture, I think that has, in other words, let's look to the Critics' Choice. And if the Critics' Choice and the Globes agree, then we know that whatever that narrative is, it's going to be a strong thing playing out Oscar-bound. So I think The Favorite could win at the Critics' Choice. I don't think Green Book can. I think that the blogosphere is too close to the alleged backlash to that movie, but that's a whole other discussion. But I think that the Globes are impervious to it, and I don't think they care about that, or think it's an issue, or maybe even have been impacted by it, the Green Book thing. So if The Favorite breaks through here, let's say it wins picture and Olivia and Rachel, and all of a sudden, wow, then that, how wonderful would it be that a movie that's strange and quirky and crazy and brazenly sexual could, and all female like that, could win the Oscar, would be in the race. That would be great. But what I really hope happens is I hope Spike Lee wins here, and we have this little groundswell that broke out at the Globes many years ago, back in the mid-1990s, when Mel Gibson went to the podium and he won Best Director for Braveheart, which did not win Best Picture there. And that set off the derby toward Braveheart at the Oscars. And that happens at the Globes sometimes. They went with 3 Billboards last year, and I was stupid enough to say, oh, well, that plus BAFTA equals the Oscar win. And like a lot of us predicted that for Best Picture. But we want it to be a race, and we want it to be really interesting, and it's going to emerge probably tonight in one of those categories. But I just hope it's not just the Globes according to script, so then we're not any wiser at the end of it. We have to learn something tonight.
We definitely have to learn something. That's very important for the Globes. So do your job. I'm most looking forward to seeing Amy Adams versus Regina King ×2. They should just be on the stage, just punching it out and see if one of them can take one of those trophies. And Katrina Balfe, 4 nominations. Just give her a bloody Globe, would you?
Yeah.
Just come on.
Yes.
Please. Apart from that, everybody have a great time. Thank you so much for joining us, Tony, Daniel, Joyce, and Tom. I think we have 5 minutes now for a quick bathroom break. Go and get your popcorn. Go and do what you need to do. We'll be right back here after the show for our post-show, and you can hear all about the bing and the convecting about all the things that went wrong and went right. Join us then. Otherwise, enjoy the show. See you soon.